So, hello everyone. Nice to meet you and nice to see you again. My name is Jason, and I'm here for a Daily Dose of Hope, day 308. So, I've been coming on almost every day for about 308 days. Well, for 308 days. And to give a daily dose of hope, because I was guided to do it back in February, my guide said that the energies on our planet were going to start picking up and things are going to start getting wackier and wackier. And that as they do, things are getting wackier and wackier, and it's going to be harder and harder to kind of focus on our path, the path of peace, when everything's just going crazy around you. And that's what a daily dose of hope is. Sorry, yesterday Rumble wouldn't let me on. I made the video and then it said, "Sorry, you're not allowed in." So I don't know what that. I tried 4 times and it just didn't let me in. So I figured must be the universe telling me not to come on, so I didn't come on. Yeah. So today, I'd like to just talk a little bit about. I was reminded today about something that I've talked about before, but I thought I would bring it up again because I think it's an interesting idea. Every country that you go to, well, basically every place that you go to. Hey, Emery. Hey, welcome, welcome. Yeah, but every place that you go to has a different energy, and I noticed this, when I was in university. When I took a cross country drive, and I'm from the East Coast, and when I was experiencing out in the West Coast, it was completely different. It was a completely different worldview, and everything was completely different. Um, the East Coast tends to be a little bit more conservative than the West Coast, at least in the time that I was there. I'm talking about the 90s, so things are very different now. But at that time, it was a very different feel, and just driving to one side of the country to the other is different. And then, for example, like New York City is very different from like the rural town that I was from, and the energy is different. And then when I moved to Japan, it was completely and utterly different. When I moved to Japan, I experienced peace, like this very strong sense of peace, a peace I'd never sensed before. Like I had sensed peace, you go out into nature and there's a sense of peace, but there is something different here. It's a completely different feeling. And it's something that, to explain it, you wouldn't really, it's hard to understand what it is, but if you experience it, you know it. You're like, that's the peace, that's that feeling. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, is something that I had no idea that I was studying when I came here. I didn't know, what I thought. I was here for other, I was here to do all this stuff and make all this stuff. And, I had all of these like dreams and stuff. But I think the main reason that I was here, one of the main reasons, is just to study peace, to study what a different way of living. So in America, we grow up, or at least in my generation. So again, I'm not sure how things have changed, but in my generation, um, we grew up being taught about individuality, and having your own thoughts and having your own ideas. And if someone says, just make, you know, uh, improvise with this, and you just improvise, or someone says, what should I do with this? And say, oh, you think about it. And he's, oh, okay, great. I'll try to figure it out. These kind of things. That's how we're taught. And, we're taught to try to be individualistic, try to do our own thing. And so that's kind of, since we're little, we're just taught to do that kind of stuff. It's normal. Whereas here, that you're taught the opposite. In schools here, it's still like if you raise your hand, it's a bad thing. Asking questions, no, 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 no. Who do you think you are? Bam, bam, get down, get down. It's just the culture. It's just the way it works, right? And so, for example, music students, you ask them like, hey, just improvise, just do whatever. And they're like, wait, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But no, just be original. Original? No, that's a scary word. I don't want to do that. So it's a different way of teaching. It's a different world, right? And I'm not saying one is better than the other or anything like that. It's just different, very, very different. And even like the way of studying rhythm here, is I learned recently, is that so when you clap, right, you're doing like 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice I'm kind of like my hands get stuck together, 3, 4. But when I was called to clap, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. You bounce, you prepare for the next beat. but it's different. And so that was there's so many different things, right? And so, but what I started to understand after a long time here, after I kind of started waking up a bit, I guess, is that there is this sense of peace here. And in that sense, for example, that you can go out to the stores, you can go out to the shops, you can go out, shopping, and it'll be completely peaceful. Everything will run completely and utterly smoothly. All of the trains will be exactly on time. You can check out your like Google Maps, and it'll tell you exactly the time, and you'll get there at exactly that time. Everything moves like clockwork, and all of the shopkeepers and all the clerks are very, very polite. The customer's God, and so everything just moves smoothly. Um, and so, yeah, it's very easy. I know back in the States at times, depending on where I was, like what city, sometimes just going out shopping can be like, that's like all your energy for the day. It's like, I'm finished. I went shopping, I'm finished. Oh, my goodness. Um, and so I'm speaking from my own experience. You might have a completely different experience, and that's, yeah. So just my perspective, my world, I guess, the way that I see things. And so in Japan, things are very easy. It's very easy to get stuff done. So those sort of things. Everything moves like clockwork. And overall, they call it wa. Wa means kind of like a circle, like peace kind of thing. And heiwa is peace. So wa is part of that. And you kind of, everyone's trying to protect the wa, kind of create a good atmosphere. No one's kind of like disturbing, like in public situations, very few people would ever kind of like disturb the peace kind of thing. It's very, very low key, I guess is one way of saying it. And which is wonderful. I mean, for me as a composer, as a writer of music, it's great because I get to go inside my mind. Like I'm not influenced because there's nothing to influence me. It's just all me. And so it really makes you work as a musician. You really have to try hard. Like it's not, nothing's, I remember like in New York City, it was just like nuts, just like every kind of music is playing all the time. And it's just like, oh, maybe I should write that. Oh, do this, But here it's quiet. It's very quiet. Even in the cities, it's quiet. And so that's very different. So I realized I was studying peace. Um, but with everything that you have, there's always a trade-off. Okay, so for example, in Japan we have peace, but we trade off individuality in public settings. Of course, people are individual. Of course, we're all human, but we're talking about like the society, public situations, and things like that. And so, but whereas in America, we trade off peace for individuality. So it can be quite chaotic at times, but we have individuality. We're free. Well, and this is something that was interesting for me these past few years. Back in the crazy years, I was just watching from Japan and at how there are many countries that I thought were quite free that were not as free as I thought they were. It was surprising how not free they were, and surprising how Japan was very free. No, there were no mandatory anything. There's no mandatory anything. There was a lot of like guilt trips, but there was no mandatory anything. It was not legal. There was nothing legal that was passed. It was just, that kind of stuff. So I was really surprised at that because I would have expected, a place like this would be, everything would be mandatory, but all of the countries that I saw that were supposed to be like real free and real, they were the most strict. And it was really surprising for me. Like, what's going on with the world? So that's a completely different other story, but we're just talking about societal kind of ways that we think about this society, and the ways that we're brought up, individuality. But yeah, that kind of throws a big wrench into the whole story, right? What happened to the individuality in those 3 years of craziness? It just went out of the window. It's like, wait, what? You're so individual. Why are you saying that? I don't. What? So that was very interesting for me. I mean, it's kind of an interesting study. You just kind of sit back and just watch everything playing out and all these people and all the stories and say, wow, that's interesting. I never really realized that, but it really brings out a lot of things out of you, and that's the analogy that I like to talk about, like when you're kind of making a pot. Well, when you're making, I think it was sukiyaki, is you there's something called aku. Aku is just like the stuff that you don't want in the pot. So sukiyaki is it's just like a hot pot kind of thing. Um, and but so you take this little ladle and you take out like the stuff, the dredges. I guess the dredges is like the aku, and you take out the dredges. And so, but you have to stir it up in order to see it, right? And so that's what happened those crazy years. Everything was being stirred up, and we got to see all this stuff that was inside of us that we didn't know. It's like, whoa, oh my God, who am I? And yeah, so, but what I learned, I guess, when I'm coming back to the point, is the trade off, right? There's a trade off between, so if you want to have a completely and utterly peaceful society, you have to give up your individuality. If you want complete freedom, you have to give up that sense of just peace. You have to accept a bit of chaos in your life. And then the question becomes, which one do you choose? Which one is the best way? And what I've learned is that I don't think either way is the best. I think there's the mixture is the best. I think we need the individuality, but we also need the peace. And so I think that's what I'm learning, that it's a complicated thing. And I think, like, just going back to maybe the original founding fathers of America, I think they kind of had a little bit of a sense of that, understanding how that works. It's very complicated because you really have to understand, and you have to make agreements with the people around you, and understandings and all of these things. And it takes a lot of work. I think that's what I've come to learn. But I think this peace idea, if you feel it, if you've studied it, if you've experienced it, then you can start to understand it, I think. And that was something I was talking about before, that I think a lot of people might be coming to a lot of Asian countries. I know even parts of China are very, very peaceful. Just, it's very peaceful, right? You'd be surprised, right? Um, and Vietnam, right? It's chaotic, but it's very peaceful. It's interesting, right? Um, so yeah, so this sense of peace is something that you kind of need to experience with your body. You need to like, or with your whole body-mind complex. You just need to be in it and say, this is it. And then you can start to figure out how to blend the two. And also, for people in Japan, they need to experience that opposite thing. They need to go and, just experience what it's like to be that chaos of freedom, and how wonderful that is too. And so if you can kind of meld those two together inside yourself and understand it, then you can kind of create it outside of yourself. Wow, that's all I wanted to say. That was quite a mouthful. Emery, you said, I can't imagine shopping being peaceful. Sounds amazing. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. That's all I'm used to now. It's like you go shopping. It's very smooth. You just get your stuff and you leave. Although, I mean, peaceful is, depend. Like if you are very uh, what's the word? Not empathic. Yeah, if you're empathic and you're picking up on people's emotions, yeah, crowds can be rough, right? Even if everyone's peaceful. That's another thing. Like if you're empathetic, if I think empathic, I think that you can pick up on people's emotions. If you're picking up on emotions, then a lot of people too are very repressed in this country because you're not allowed to express a lot of that stuff, so all the chaos gets inside, right? And then of course there are places, with your friends and stuff like that where you can get it out, but in the public settings at work and all these things, you're supposed to keep it in. And so, on the train, sometimes it can be intense, because it's like, it's peaceful on the surface, but underneath it's just like chaos. So yeah, it's complicated, right? The whole idea is complicated. Which is the best way? I think the best way is a mix of the two somehow, some sort of mix. Um, anyway, so I've gone on for a while. Go Beach. All right, so I'm going to go into a channeling, and I'm just going to ask them if they have anything to say for today, February the 12th, 2025. 212, too many twos. So here we go. Emery, you say, delightful true about the repressed emotions and being empathetic. Yeah, right. Because the people that are like kind of smiling at the, just like, oh man, you got some stuff in there. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm going to go into a channeling and see what they have to say today. If they have anything else to share, or yeah. So here we go. Hmm. Greetings. We are Mary Magdalene. We're here, and we're here with all of you, and we are here to bring a message of love and a message of light, which are the only messages that are truly available to all of you on your planet at this moment. Your planet is at a very crucial part of its ascension. Your planet is moving slowly towards the most beautiful place imaginable. And what we would say to all of you is that all of you are in the most beautiful places imaginable. You're just not seeing it yet. You're not aware of how beautiful your situation is at this moment. Everything that is happening to you is happening to you for the most perfect reasons imaginable. If you're able to see it, if you're able to take a few steps back and see how beautiful you are and how filled with light you are, and to see how wonderful everything that you are going through is, and that how much all of these things will help you in the future that is coming for you and for this planet, you would be amazed. You would be amazed at how wonderful it all is. You are all moving in the most perfect direction imaginable. Everything that you do is love. You are making love on this planet. Everything that you do is so beautiful. And so that's what we'd like to bring to all of you today, that you are here in the most beautiful place imaginable. All of you are hoping and wishing for the next step, for the next beautiful, wonderful step. But what we'd like you to understand is how beautiful this step that you are in at this moment is, how beautiful this transition time is, how many experiences that you would never have had in a million lifetimes you are having now. How wonderful is that? How beautiful is that? What a beautiful world you live in. What a beautiful life you live in. If you could see all of the different beings outside, out in the galaxy, seeing what you are doing, they would love to have these experiences that you're having. You are having some of the most interesting and delightful and interesting experiences that are possible in the universe at this moment. And this is what we would like to bring forward today. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that was something that my guides brought up today too, is where it seems as though, like, a lot of us, well, I maybe, I'm not sure about everyone, but we're all kind of not sure what's going on with the world, with our lives, what to hope for, what's next, what's going on. And but what we don't realize is how far we've actually come. You know, we've come so far. We've done so much work on ourselves. We've learned so much about life. We've become so much stronger. And it's so important to just take a look at that and say, wow, look at you. Look how much you've grown. Look how great you've become. Look how strong you've become. And understand that, yeah, that's something that I was guided to see today, to look at. And it's wonderful. Yeah, it is wonderful when you just take a step back and say, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah. Um, so yeah, so yep, thank you, Emery. And yep, thank you for joining in. And I hope that your shopping experiences will be more peaceful. I sometimes wish that they were not as peaceful. Sometimes I you know, would like to have like the interactions and the, but yeah. So it's like there's a trade-off, right? So yeah, I'm gonna just stop there for today, and I'll start up the pocket of peace again tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow. Oh, I finished pretty late tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe in the morning I'll do one. Um, but okay, so I hope you guys are hopeful. Thanks, Emery, for joining in, and everyone else as well. And hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow. So ciao for now.